Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to this preparatory workshop of Media Creative Aptitude Test. We are here to ensure that you learn from the experts of all the subsectors of media and entertainment and get maximum benefit out of your aptitude test. Now, today we have a topic, and that's actually a magic of motion graphics. So the magic, to show you the magic of motion graphics, we have team from MAAC. We have Mr. Rahul Pandey, who is a VFX supervisor. Mr. Rahul Pandey is a computer application graduate, and he has been in animation and VFX education sector for more than 15 years now. He has trained thousands of students to develop their skills, increase their knowledge, and pursue their careers in the field of animation and visual effects. You can guide someone properly only if you have to do it yourself. Keeping this strategy in mind, and due to his fascination with TV and cinema, he has been supervising various features, film directors, video editors, and DOPs by discussing and developing the creative and complicated VFX shots for the cinema. So, without wasting time, let's welcome him and thank Mr. Rahul Pandey, sir. Thank you so much, Rahul, for accepting this invitation. And this session is organized by MAAC.
Thank you, Pooja. So, shall we start the session now?
Yes, sir. You have the right to share your screen. And at the end, Rahul, sir, will be closing this session, and we'll see you. I'll see you tomorrow. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. I'm audible there?
Yes, sir, you're audible. And it's your presentation is also visible.
Yeah. So, hi everyone. My name is Rahul, and I'm going to take you through the process of creating a motion graphics. So first, we will start with the basics. Like I will talk about what is a motion graphics and where exactly motion graphics are used, and what is the importance of having a motion graphics in any kind of content which you see on your digital screen. So talking about the motion graphics, let's first understand these two words. So motion graphics word is made up of two words, that is motion and graphics. So you just need to understand these words individually, and then you will be able to understand what exactly is this. So talking about motion is, like, as you can read on your screen, it's the action or process of moving or changing place or position. So in general, like motion is, in general, it's basically something which changes from its position, and or like any kind of movement is there in any object, that is referred as motion. And talking about the second term, which is graphics, so already, like, most of you must have heard about the word graphics, but talking about the actual meaning of the graphics, it's basically a kind of design or a kind of visual image, and these are the images which can be seen on different types of surfaces. The surfaces can be a wall, a canvas, a piece of paper. It can be even graphics are available on t-shirts as well. So like there are different types of surfaces, but what we are going to talk about, we are going to talk about digital graphics. And digital graphics are something which is seen only on a computer monitor or on your TV screen. So that's what is the combination of motion graphics, any graphics which has a kind of motion introduced in it, and that is known as a motion graphics. So proceeding ahead, you can see these are some of the examples of motion graphics, and in this you can see there are some, like, the graphics has some movement in it. So here again you can see these are some static graphics, and when we provide some movement to it, they are referred to as motion graphics. So these are motion graphics. Talking about the complete definition, motion graphics are a kind of animation, and in some cases it can be a digital footage as well. I mean, footages are shot and then they are converted in the form of motion graphics, and it has an illusion of motion or transformation. So like the content of motion graphics, they will either change their position, they will either have some rotation, the scaling value will be changing, and like any kind of transformation that is happening with any kind of graphics, that is known as motion graphics. The most important thing is like motion graphics should be playable. Like you need to have a player like a QuickTime player or a VLC or a media player, so that it should be played, and the final output has to be in a video format. So motion graphics is not just the graphical content, it also needs an audio to present it in the best possible way. So without having any, or without any audio, the final motion graphics won't appear uh, that attractive. So definitely, like there are two roles which are involved in creating motion graphics. One is from the audio perspective and one is from the artist who is going to design the visible content. So I'm going to talk about how we actually design the entire visible content. And talking about, like, these are again some of the samples which you can see, like the things are actually moving. So if you pause at any moment, they appear like an image, but there is some movement assigned to it, and that's why they are known as motion graphics. So let's understand what is required. Like if you want to create any kind of motion graphics, or if you want to become a motion graphics artist, what skill sets are actually required. So first of all, you need to understand the traditional art. I mean, you don't have to be an artist, even if you're not an artist, but you need to know what type of arts are available throughout the world, and what type of art do you really want to present in your motion graphics. So that's one thing. You need to have a basic artistic sense. Apart from that, the second term is typography, which is very important. Any motion graphics without having any kind of text or audio will always appear incomplete. So that's why typography is again a second stage, where like the text element has to be there, and the text cannot just be any random font. There has to be a proper logic of selecting a kind of font, the size of the font, the readability, whether the fonts are appearing in a capital, small, or in whatever way. So that's why typography is again another skill set which you need to have. The third one is creative thinking. Yes, if you are not creative, then definitely you will not land up anywhere to create any kind of graphics. So you need to think from a creative perspective, that okay, if you want to have a certain appearance on the screen, it should not appear in a way how any other motion graphics has already been designed. So you need to think in a different way, you need to think in a creative way, and you need to like combine each one of these skills together to form a certain motion graphics. Talking about some more skills which are needed, color theory. Yes, you need to understand which color will look great if it's combined with any other color. So you cannot randomly pick a black color and a gray color and you want to create a kind of motion graphics. It will never look great because both of them will be darker. So you need to have a basic sense of color combination, the color theory. There are certain rules like which color has to be combined with which other color, so that the final output or the visible output should actually look attractive or impressive, and it should not create any strain on the eyes. So that's why color theory is again extremely important for a person who really wants to understand what is a motion graphics. Animation. Yes, animation is, again, I'm talking about the animation which is needed for motion graphics. It's not a traditional animation where you have to create an animated character. I'm talking about the basic motion graphics where the elements are moving, they are coming into the screen, then they combine, they like they react with each other, and then there is certain motion that happens, and then that's how the overall motion graphics is appears in a presentable way. So there are certain things which is required, like the type of animation, the speed for the animation, If there is a certain rotation, how the rotation should happen. If there is a scale up which is happening, it cannot be a general scale up. There has to be a pop-up which actually appears great in motion graphics. So there are n number of things which you need to learn, or you will have to understand what type of animation is required for motion graphics. And it's not the same animation. Suppose you have to animate a Mickey Mouse or Tom and Jerry, those animations will be different. But if you have to animate a motion graphics, this will have a different way. Talking about the next skill set, that is software knowledge. Yes, motion graphics nowadays is actually made in like different types of softwares which are available in the market. So you need to have at least the basic knowledge of any one software in which the motion graphics are made. If you know more than one, then definitely it's a good thing for you. So software knowledge is again very important thing, because nowadays most of the motion graphics are made from the scratch in any like X or Y software. So that's why you need to know the softwares as well. Talking about the motion graphics application, like once you are familiar with the concept of motion graphics, and if you know how motion graphics are made, but again the second thing which comes is where exactly you will present these graphics. So there are many different points where you can actually apply these motion graphics. The first one is awareness videos. Nowadays, like you can see even YouTube or even any kind of documentary films or any kind of like social awareness films which are available in like n number of platforms. They have some certain awareness videos, and in those videos people use motion graphics so that the content can be explained with the help of graphics and the movement. Suppose if you want to demonstrate an accident video, you cannot shoot the actual accident in real life, but still you can use all those motion graphics content to show how exactly the accident happens, and like what exactly is the accident scenarios, and then the awareness can be mentioned in that video, that do's and don'ts and whatever is applicable for that particular point. Apart from that, there are certain videos which are known as explainer videos. Now explainer videos are extremely used in educational content, and apart from this, the explainer videos are also used in case of any product demonstration as well. So suppose you purchase a new product from the market, and if you do not know how to install it, suppose you have purchased some speakers and there are some certain inputs which needs to be filled in, and if you're not aware of it, so if there is any explainer video, they can explain with the help of graphics. It will not have any video content, but it will have all the things explained through some images, and those images will be like just basic colored images, and with those you will be watching those videos, and you will get to know how exactly to use the appliances or any like equipment which you have purchased. Apart from this, product demo, any product which has to be used, suppose if there are any demonstration of any kind of product which is newly launched in the market, or if a person has purchased a product for the very first time, then for the product demo you can use motion graphics. Further moving ahead, we have many other application of motion graphics as well. Promotional videos, any product, I mean any teaser, trailer, or any kind of product which is newly launched in the market, those videos have promotional content. So the content is actually prepared with the help of motion graphics. Apart from that, movie titling, the most common thing, or you can actually relate with it, that movie title. Whenever you watch a movie, the movie always starts with the title, and in the title you always see text, and apart from text you also see the movie name. So the motion graphics can be of two different types. There can be a 2D motion graphics as well as a 3D motion graphics. If I talk about the movie titling effect, because to name a few, the movie called as Avengers or even the Bahubali Part 2, the title actually involved a 3D content in the beginning. So it's totally on the overall workflow, how you want to design the title, but in the end it's called as motion graphics. Again, advertisements, most of the advertisements which you see on any kind of resources, like either on YouTube or either on television or like any digital medium, whatever you see on your screen, these are known as like the advertisement also have any like some random text materials, and those text have some random animation. The texts are jumbled up, the texts are moving in a faster way, there is some kind of rotation and then like zip zap effect. So all those effects, when they are combined together and they are presented along with the video content of the advertisement, so that's how the advertisement become complete. So that's basically is the application of motion graphics. So these are basically some areas where we created. Now let's quickly create a simple motion graphics by using some images so that you can understand how we actually create motion graphics from scratch, and what are the things which are done, and how we actually keep adding some various contents, or like how we keep applying various effects in the motion graphics so that it should actually look uh, presentable. So let me just start with the software. Okay, let me just share it. Okay, so I hope this screen is visible to all of you. To start with this, first of all, I will talk about the images which I have used in the motion graphics. So first I will play the motion graphics for you. I will just disable the sound, and I will play this in a local like some lesser quality output, because there are certain things which I have disabled, otherwise the layer won't play in a proper way. So this is what you can see. It's a motion graphics that has been prepared, and there are certain veggies which are visible. I will talk about it from the beginning. So it starts with this frame where the plate is coming, it's actually scaling inside the screen and the plate is rotating. There are some text material which is seen, there are some wedges which are seen all over, then there are some threads, and apart from that the background has a sun ray kind of thing. So moving ahead, if you see, there is a certain transitional effect, and then it moves out to the screen where you can see that the delivery boy is actually on the scooter. And if I play, you can see that there is a movement in the scooter and the background buildings are moving. So we have incorporated some speed. We have symbolized that the speed is there, and then he moves out of the screen, and then the final name appears. So it's a Sibus food delivery service. So let me take you through the scratch from where it all started and how it all was started. So let me talk about the individual images which we have used, so that you can understand how all these images are used and how the entire thing has been created. So this is the first image for the city. Now, where exactly these images were used, I will just come to the final output, and here you can see in the background, whatever cities you are seeing over here, it's the same city which I have used. So this is one image. Apart from that, I have another image which is a food plate. So here you can see this is the image which I have used, and where exactly it has been used over here. So this is the same plate which you are seeing. Apart from this, we have this third image, which is rays, and this is actually in the background. Here you can see that there are different type of distortion that has been applied. Now here you can see there's a twirl effect which I have applied in the background, so that there has to be a certain rotation and it should actually appear as per the twirl requirement, because the things are actually rotating in the screen. Apart from this, we have the delivery boy image, and you can see this has white background, and this delivery boy has been used over here. So this is again one image. And apart from that, the last image is of the veggies, and here you can see all the content which has a white background, and we have used these images in the beginning along with the plate, and this is where you can see all the individual contents are available. So let's start with it, how the entire thing was created. To start with it, I will take you to the first frame, and there are like multiple layers, but I will talk about few of them so that you should not get confused. So talking about this food plate, how it was created, I will take you to this one and let me disable it. So this is the original image, and what I have done, I have masked it out. So like this plate area has been preserved, and rest of the areas I have removed it by using a mask. And that's why we can place anything, or like whatever is placed behind this will be visible. So this area has been deleted. Similarly, talking about this scooter layer. So in the scooter layer, I have removed the white background, and that's how this area has become transparent. For the veggies, this is really very interesting for the veggies part, because it was a huge layer. And what I did, I actually removed the entire white background by applying an effect. So there are like n number of effects which are available in the software. You just have to apply them. And then as you can see, the in between areas were also removed. So what I did, I created a duplicate layer of this one, and then I created some masking. So the inner areas were preserved, and that's how we have these two things. So you can see this is the inner area, the inner details, the white part has been preserved, and as per the requirement, I have done it. So this is how the veggies are preserved. This is your scooter layer, and this is your food plate. Further moving ahead, we also have this raise layer, and here you can see it's a simple layer which has been placed. There's no rotation, there's no animation applied into it, so that we will do it later on. Now how the things are actually proceeded. So if I take this to a new composition, or let's create a new space where we can start working with it. So what I did, I took the raise wala image, I will scale it down, and this is how you can see the scale value can be incorporated. Apart from this, I took the food image, this food plate, and as you can see, it's a huge image. So I will scale it down, and that's it. I will just set this timeline to 5 seconds. Okay, so this is how the food plate has been created. And apart from that, if I talk about the veggies content, so this is the veggies layer. So as you can see, all the vegetables, they appear in just one image. What I actually did, after this, I masked out, or you can say I was just selecting one veggie at a time. So for example, if I select this veggie, that's it. I can rename this, and then I can have an identity for this one, and I will place it somewhere over here so that this particular veggie will be available over here. After this, I duplicated, I created a double layer of this one, and in this I removed the mask which was applied, and let's say I want this tomato as a second layer. So again, I will preserve the tomato from here, and then there are certain things which needs to be done. So I did this, and that's it. So in this way, if you will see over here, there are certain number of layers which can be seen, and all these layers are of the veggies. So let me show this to you how it actually works. Okay, so here I will disable all these layers, and let me show you all these layers one by one. So first of all, you have this first image of the ray which is rotating. Now to rotate the ray, what I will do, I will just apply a rotation animation. And as I told you earlier, that basic animation needs to an artist needs to know what exactly are transforming animations. So I will animate the rotation value of this layer, and as you can see, I will apply some rotation to this one. Now you can see the rotation actually exists in a very, the rotation is actually very fast. So I will slow it down by changing the value. That's very important, how you are actually changing the value. still I can see or I can feel that the rotation is extremely fast. So I can go back and I can change the value to, like, I can reduce the rotation value, and now you can see the rotation happens in a slow way. So that's how the rotation has been applied. And for this part where you can see the blank area appears, so I'm going to scale it up a little bit so that that particular area won't be seen. And apart from that, some effects can be applied. So for example, I will right click, go to effect, and there were some effect which were applied. Just give me a second. So here you can see these are some of the twirl effect which were applied, and that's how the rotation appears in a circular way. So it gives a better feeling, or you can say a better appearance to the layer. So you also need to know what are the effects or the options which are available in any software which you can actually apply to your layers, and that's how you can simply enhance the quality of the animation. So let's keep it here. After this, the food plate. Now what actually happens is the food plate appears like it actually zooms in after 1 second, and then it keeps rotating in a slow way. So what I'll do is I will animate the scale value, I will animate the rotation value, that's it. And before this, the scale value, I will just reduce it to 0. So what happens within 1 second, as you can see, there is a scale up which is happening. And apart from that, I will change the rotation value as well. So for the rotation, I will go for a certain number, and now you can see that the plate is rotating. So I have added some rotation to it. I will make it little faster. You also need to know the angles, like how much should be the rotation. Now, as you can see, the rotation of the plate and the rotation of the background rays, these two are happening in a different direction. So these are actually going on the opposite side. So we will have to make it in the same direction so that the symmetry should be maintained. Otherwise, your eyes won't find it very appealing. So that's how now you can see the plate and the background, they both are actually rotating in the same angle. So that's it. And after this, the rotation has stopped. So I will assign some rotation value to this so that the plate it will keep rotating along with the background. So that's how I have applied some rotation just after the appearance. And now you can see that the way how it appears over here, there is a sudden jerk. It stops automatically. So there are certain values which can be changed. Here I will change the graph in such a way so that the smoothness needs to be maintained. So now you can see this is how the smoothness is maintained. I will just enhance the value. And now for the scaling part also, I will apply some smoothness to this. So now you can see there is some smoothness that has been applied to the layer, and that's how the plate appears to be in a proper rotation value. So that's the first layer that has been done. And apart from that, I will simply animate these two wedges over here. So talking about these two wedges, because if I go for like all those n number of layers, it will take too much of time, but at least you can get an idea how the wedges were animated. So talking about this one, I will animate these two layers. Let's animate the position, and I will I will also animate the scale values. So that these two layers actually starts shrinking in terms of size. So first of all, I will change the position of these two layers. So what happens is like these two layers actually goes towards the center. That's the first thing which we want. Also, you can see that these two like wedges, they appear above the plate. So we just need to change the layer arrangement so that the wedges should actually lie behind this this plate. And now I'm going to change the scale value. So here I'm going to change this to 0 and 0. That's it. Now you can see if we play this, this is what you will be able to see. Also, I will change the position in such a way, because right now these two wedges, they should actually appear from behind the plate, but it actually appears from the sideways. So what I'll do is I'll keep the playhead here and I will change the position in such a way so that both these layers, they will appear behind the plate first, and then all of a sudden they will appear from its back. So this is how it's done. Also, if you feel that at a certain position it's actually becoming visible over here, if you feel like it's becoming visible, then you should just adjust the scale value in such a way that the scale should appear smaller. So that's the thing, how it's done. Also, there has to be an animation or like I will apply some variation in the graph. So for the scale, I will just smooth out the graph. Let me quickly do this. So if there are like multiple layers, you will have to do it in all these layers. That's it. So now if we play this, there is a smoothness that has been applied. Now after this, what I want is that these two wedges should keep shaking. So there has to be some random shaking that needs to be applied in these two wedges. So I will assign some automatic values to this. So this is the first thing which I have applied, and now you can see if I play, the tomato can be seen along with some shake. So I have added a little bit of like automatic but you can say I have applied scripting to this one. Some expression has been applied, but there are manual ways also. I will copy this and I will apply the same thing to this as well. So these are the part of the software. When you learn this, you automatically know how things happen. So this is the thing which has been done. And now if you want these two wedges to rotate along with the plate, then in that case, what you can do is I will create a null object over here. Now null is something which will just like these two wedgie layers will be attached to it, and whatever motion or like movement happens in this layer, that will be applied to these two layers as well. So for example, if I rotate these layers, I will rotate it from the beginning, and like after 5 seconds I will rotate it for 180 degrees. So now you can see this is how the layers are rotating. So that's simply, if you know the software, it actually becomes easier for you to like animate the layers. And apart from this, I will also add a motion blur to this. Now what happens, what exactly is motion blur? Let me keep the plate over here, and now if I apply motion blur, the overall output looks more realistic. So let me apply motion blur to it, and now the software will take some time to process it, but here you will be able to see the motion blur. So now if I play from the beginning, you will be able to see like it definitely the processing will take more and more time, and that's why when we do any kind of professional motion graphics, it actually takes more time to like create the final output. So now you can see that the motion blur, when it's added, it will give you more realism. It will add more realism because we usually see motion blur in our daily life. Like whenever we look at the rotating fan, we actually see the motion blur. You cannot count the number of blades when the fan is rotating till the time the fan stops. So that's what is the concept of motion blur. And here you can see that this is how the motion blur has been applied. Now what I want is, like, after 1 second, I do not want to see any kind of motion blur. So I will select these layer and I will split them into two. So like after 1 second, I am going to disable the motion blur for all these layers. And that's how, like, the motion blur will be appeared in 1 second animation, and after 1 second I'm going to disable the motion blur, so that you will be able to see the content of the layer, because we have to show the food, and the theme of this ad is to, like, the faster delivery of the food. So we need to maintain the speed by using the motion blur, but we have to show the food as well. So the color has to be visible, the food content has to be visible, and apart from that, with the help of motion blur, the speed is also being shown. So just wait for a few seconds, and it's actually going to process just 4 or 5 more frames, and then you will be able to see how it actually appears. That's it. So let me play it from the beginning, and this is what happens. So you can see after 1 second, the motion blur has stopped, and now you get to see a proper layer over here. So these are these are the ways how the animation is being done, and like how the things actually appear in a moving way, and that's how you add certain layers. So let me take you through this particular first set where all these layers were used. So as you can see, this is the ray layer where the rotation has been applied, and after a certain second you can see the rays have been straightened up, because the rotation has to be in a straight line, because the focus has to be on the plate. If there is any rotating line, then the focus can be distracting, so that's why we actually created it in a straight line. Apart from that, we added few thin lines over here, which you can see. These are the thin lines, and these thin lines are actually moving. So these are also some random graphics that has been applied to this layer. And there is a drop shadow effect also. So you can see these lines are moving, and along with this, there is a drop shadow that can be seen in the background, because drop shadow actually separates the layer from its background. So that's why drop shadows are extremely important if you really want to have a depth in your motion graphics. It's not necessary to have a drop shadow in each and every motion graphics, but yes, if you want to separate it from the background, you should actually place a drop shadow. So let me disable the drop shadow for like one layer, and then you will be able to see what kind of difference actually happens, what actually happens when you disable it. So let me just disable the drop shadow, and you can see the difference. So this is how the shadow has been disabled. Yeah, so this is the shadow has been disabled, and now you can see, just give me a second, the mask is activated, so that's why. Yeah, so this is the ring, and now you can see if I enable the drop shadow, you will be able to see a depth into it. So this is what you get to see with the help of drop shadow. So it actually gives you more depth into it, and that's how these lines were added. Apart from that, as I have explained, the wedges which were added. So these are different wedges material, and let me enable each one of them so that you can see how these wedges appear. So let me play the sequence first, and now you can see I have disabled the motion blur so that it will not take too much of time. And now you can see how these individual wedges have been placed over here, and they appear, and then there is a wiggle effect in all these wedges. Apart from that, I will stop it. Okay. And now here we have the food plate. So if I play this, you can see this is how the plate appears. The rotation continues in the plate, and there is some wiggle effect in the plate as well. So you can see the plate is not static. There is some shake which is happening. The thing which we just created over here, there's no variation in the plate. So what I can do is I can simply go to this layer. I will go to the position and I will just enter that value so that there will be a variation, or you can say the wiggle effect in the plate. So you can have more see, the thing is we are not adding anything just for sake of adding. There has to be a message or the logic which you have to consider. So if it's the moment of hunger, things cannot be static. So there has to be a like randomness or variation in all these things. And that's why if you are eagerly waiting for the food, and that's why I have added a wiggle effect to the plate, because you cannot sit, you cannot be calm, you cannot sit with patience. So there has to be some randomness, and that's how the effects needs to be added. So this is the first layer that has been added. Moving ahead, I will take it to this second stage where you can see the graphics are added. So you can see this is how the graphics were prepared, and these are the content where like the dialog box appears from the graphics, and then the text appears over here. So the second most important thing is to add the text which has been added, and there are some random animation that has been applied. And if I enable all the motion blur, it looks perfect. So as of now, I will just avoid motion blur. So this is just single layer that has been created. And after this, we have to cut from this shot to the next shot where the delivery boy is seen. So that's why we have added an effect over here. And here you can see there is a zoom in, and then there is a fast rotation. So this symbolizes the rotation of the delivery boy ka scooter ka wheel. And that's how this is actually coming. Okay, so this is what we have. And apart from this, we have created this second part where you can see that the scooter has some movement, and then the background, the buildings are moving, and then this simply moves out. So here you can see that there is the stroke that appears over here, and I have applied a stroke effect into this. So this stroke is being animated, and that's how the text appears along with the along with the frame, and then this food delivery services appears. So as I was talking about the drop shadow effect, you can see that there is a drop shadow that has been applied behind the text. The reason is because the color of the text is white, and apart from that the background is also yellow. So both of them are actually in lighter zone. So that's why to separate it from the background, I will just keep it to I will enable the drop shadow. And in the same way, the food delivery services text also has a drop shadow, so that the text can be separated away from the backgrounds, and there is a certain depth that has been applied. So when we combine both these two outputs together, this is how we are going to see is the transition still does not appears in a perfect way, because we still needs to work in this. Because if I talk about this frame, you can see that the entire content seems to be distorted, which should not appear like this. The transition has to go in the wheel of the scooter. So we will have to sit for like at least 30-40 more minutes to just solve this out, so that it actually goes into the scooter, and then we zoom out, and this is what we see. So the scooter moves out of the frame, and then the name appears. So this is how the motion graphics are created by using you can use multiple images, you can use various colorful graphics, you can use text, and like some inbuilt elements as well, which are available with your software. So, and after that, you can simply add any kind of music. Like the music is something which we an artist who is preparing the motion graphics is not responsible for the music, but like for the sake of adding it, this is we have. So that's it. Any questions from anyone? So please feel free to share it. So I think there are no questions. So let's finish off the session now. Thank you so much for attending the session.